And who am I? That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
What's up? We got Gossip Girl, Season 3, Episode 20. It's a dad world. This episode starts off with Nate and Serena happily kissing at the Empire. Blair, Dan and Vanessa are acting distant at the loft, and Nate tells Serena she's going to Lily's for breakfast. He suggests she move back in with her mom, which continues to get better. She's opposed to the idea of not wanting to see Jenny every day due to their recent issue. They both see a woman emerge from Chuck's room and realize that that's not the same girl Chuck brought home the night before. Chuck comes out and Nate asks Serena if she's ever seen Lily since her diagnosis. She says no and leaves. Chuck suggests that Nate go with her, but Chuck declines. At the loft, Dan and Vanessa make plans to meet later. Before they leave, Vanessa convinces that she doesn't know what she's going to do since they're tiptoeing around each other for days since the Tish debacle. Nate has an idea to make a list of topics so they can discuss with each other to avoid their problems. During the classes and internship jobs and anything possible, plagiarizing submission, Dan goes to leave for breakfast at the Vanderwoodens and asks Vanessa to join. She says no and she has something to do. He asks if it's related to the list and she says yes, and he asks her for not sharing. He thanks her for not sharing. Back at the Vanderwoodens, Eric's texting Elliot, and Rufus is using cooking as a stress reliever. Lily comes down and asks everyone to treat her like she always has, and Will shows up, and Eric asks what he's doing here. Serena says she invited him, and she invites everyone to an alumni gala next time. Serena agrees to go, and she says she invited Nate and Blair. Lily says she and Rufus would go, much to Rufus's dismay. At Columbia, Blair walks into the campus and calls Nate to say she's coming to the lacrosse game. She admits to everyone that Emily was planning living arrangements for the next year, and she's depressed about it. Nate asks what about her friends, and that asks her to live with them. Blair's impressed with the apartment they chose when they hang up. She runs into two girls, and they ask if she remembers them from Eleanor's fashion show. She does, and they ask what she's doing here. She excitedly asks if she's transferring Columbia, and Blair lies and says she is. Back at brunch, Serena tells Will a story about how she won a hot chocolate drink contest at boarding school, although Jane isn't buying that the drink was hot chocolate, and tries to tell the story about Serena and a teacher at the brand breakfast. Serena lies and says she was never into partying but academics, and announces she's moving back in. Will then announces that he's moving back into the building too. Dan calls Rufus to say he's sorry for being late, and Rufus accidentally tells him about Vanessa's internship to CNN and Hedy, where she'll be gone for 3 months. Eric tries to leave the apartment, but Will asks Eric to come and bring a girl. Eric informs him that he's gay, and tells Will to stop acting like they have any kind of relationship, and that while Serena might want to get to know him, Eric doesn't. And understandable. Like, the dude left Eric for all of his life, so of course Eric has no interest in wanting to get to know his dad. Understandable. I agree with you, Eric. You're totally agreeable. Meanwhile, Serena has been pulling Jenny's clothes out of the closet to get her room back. Jenny yells she can't do that and tells Rufus to make Serena stop. Serena suggests that Serena move back into Chuck's old room, but she refuses. Jenny says Serena can have her old room back and leave. Serena asks Rufus how many problems Jenny has to cause before he realizes Jenny's the problem. And leaves too. Yeah, literally. Also, Serena's right about this. Yeah, literally. Rufus is so blind that his daughter is the real problem. Literally. Serena's right. Like, literally. Jenny is being a manipulator, and Rufus has no idea. Dan meets with Vanessa and demands to know about her internship. She says she was going to tell him, but to put the internship on their do not discuss list. But things were easier when they were just friends. Dan asks if she wants to go back to being just friends, and she admits she doesn't know. Dan leaves. Dan leaves. Back at the Vanderwoodens, Lily mentions about how her partner is becoming crowded. Rufus says it's a little unusual that Will is moving. It's kind of a bit unusual that Will is moving into their building. and asks if he's trying to get closer to her. She says no, and that he's doing it to be closer to Serena and Eric. However, Rufus isn't convinced and calls his friend Holland. At the Columbia, Blair is hanging out with two girls she met and tells them about the travesty about attending to NYU. She gets a text from Serena about Jenny trying to claim squatter rights on her room, and they ask Blair about her plan to attack, and Blair suggests she's not getting involved. Two girls say Blair Waldorf was over the minute she became an NYU student, and Blair says she would do something, but she doesn't have any on Jenny to use as ammo. Jessica said that her boyfriend bought drugs from Jenny and Damien a few months ago, so Blair sends that to Gossip Girl to show off her new friend. Jenny, seeing this, initially blames Serena for this because of course she would, and yeah, she really blames Serena for saying a tip off to Gossip Girl for her drug dealing, not realizing that it was actually Blair, because she would think it's Serena, because yeah, Serena has been out to get her recently, so of course she would think, hey, Serena's the one. Jenny says that she and Rufus are finally in a good place, an okay place, and after a really rough patch, and she can't believe Serena is willing to ruin the relationship with Rufus because she's too scared willing to love her for who she really is. At the loft, of course, we know it's Blair, but of course they don't know that. Jenny doesn't know that. So yeah, at the Waldorf, at the loft, Dan and Vanessa discuss the internship. She says she's gonna turn it down, and he asks because her relationship, Dan, is too important, and 3 months apart is just too long. He asks her to go that night, but she declines, saying that she's going to meet the woman from CNN to give them her decision. At Columbia, Dan is walking around when she receives a text from one of her minions saying that they have to sign their apartment lease today and wants to know if she's right in or not. Nate spots her and asks her what she's doing there, drawing the conclusion that she's pretending to be a student there. She denies it at first, and Nate says he saw the smackdown of Jane on Gossip Girl and that he expected Blair to grow up a little after a breakup with Chuck. She admits that she's just pretending to be a student, but only because life at NYU is so terrible. Nate reminds her that it's always possible to make things right with someone you slander online, and that Chuck might not get the chance to do that with Lily. However, Jessica overhears the whole conversation and tips off Gossip Girl. After the conversation, Jane goes to see Chuck at the Empire. She confronts him about avoiding Lily, and then she knows that the possibility of losing her terrifies Chuck. He tells her that spare him the psychic analysis, and Blair then receives a tip about Gossip Girl blast about her pretending to be a Columbia student. She leaves now before she tells Chuck to talk to Lily before it's too late. In the elevator, she calls Amalia and tells her that she will take the apartment. Then that evening before the benefit, Serena's angry at Rufus for blocking Will from getting into the building. She tells Lily that at first, who doesn't believe her until Rufus confesses he did it. Lily then once again tells him that will be moving in to get closer to the children, and the two leave for the gala without Rufus. At the gala, Blair runs into her new friends who brush her off for being a fake student. Lily sees Chuck and the two hug while he promised her she isn't going to lose him. He's always going to be there for her. Yeah, Chuck is awesome. Meanwhile, except for that moment but still. Serena asks Nate what he had to promise to get Chuck to come, and when he says it wasn't him, the two realize that it was Blair that talked Chuck into it. At that loft, Dan runs into Jenny. He asks her if it was true about her dealing, and she admits that it was when she was with Damien. He tells her to tell Rufus herself so she can hear it before he hears it from somewhere else. She grudgingly admits he's right and decides to catch him at the gala. She tells him to try to talk to Vanessa too. Back at the gala, Serena takes Will outside and tells her about her partying past. She admits she was scared that once Lily gets better, he won't be around someone as trouble as her. He says he wants to stick around, but doesn't know how big role he can play without stepping on everyone's toes. At the bar, Blair explains to a stranger at the gala that the gal is tortured because it's Columbia and she goes to NYU. She introduces herself and he recognizes the name. He explains that he works in the admissions office and renewed her application earlier today. Even though it isn't policy, he tells her that she was accepted. She's very surprised, but thanks him anyway. Nate approaches and notices her crazy eye. He says her being accepted was a surprise since she didn't reply. Nate realizes Chuck went through with his joke of applying to Blair Columbia because she had too much pride. Back at the Vanderwoodens, Rufus sadly is making himself a sandwich when Eric approaches. He says that Will will be working his magic. Must be working his magic. Rufus admits that it's not all him. Eric says that he makes Lily happier than all of her ex-husbands combined and says he should be with her that night. Elliot shows up and tells Eric he got a call from his dad inviting him to Gala. Rufus says it wasn't him, so it must have been Will. He tells Eric that, well, it's okay to be mad at Will. It's also okay to try and forgive him. Back at the Gala, Rufus arrives and immediately runs into Holland. However, he brushes her aside to go talk to Lily. He apologizes and says he doesn't care who lives where because all he wants to be with Lily and the two kids. Jenny tells Chuck that Lily looks amazing and he remarks suspiciously that it seems to be the picture of hell. When Will is presented with the award, I got confused. I was like, picture of hell? Lily. Chuck is like, suspiciously, Lily does look pretty fine for a person with cancer, for a sick woman. So, yeah, that's kind of suspicious. When Will is presented the award, he talks to Serena's honesty and that he needs to be honest too. He says the greatest sacrifice he made was to be a doctor. The sacrifice he made to be a doctor was his family, and he made the biggest mistake of his life walking away, and he's going to do whatever he can to make it right because he loves them. Lily realized Rufus was right, that William was trying to get closer to her, and Rufus insists that she needs a new doctor, but she says she needs to be alone for the night and asks him to stay with Dan in Brooklyn. Elsewhere, Rufus runs into a girl who brought drugs from her and Damien. She calls Jenny a Sandy Beach because she bought the pills she bought. Because the pills she bought were supposed to be oxy, but they were actually antibiotic, and the girl got a yeast infection. Rufus overhears this and the conversation. Jenny tries to explain, but he doesn't want to let her, and he tells her to get her things because they're going home to Brooklyn. Yeah, Dan was right. She should have told him herself, but yeah, she was gonna, but she let another party, but she didn't expect him to overhear the conversation that she used to be a drug dealer. She goes and I guess she used Lily's. She gave the pills that she gave Dan. I guess the pills that Lily's pills were oxy pills. I totally messed up. Yep, going there. Yeah, Lily. So, there was. I guess she gave the pills that Lily gave, the pills that Jenny gave to Damien were antibiotics when the woman was supposed to be given oxy. So, Jenny, and in Brooklyn, Danny goes to see Vanessa, and he encourages her to take the ownership, and he promises they can figure everything out. He presents her with a stationery and says they can, right? She says she's going to miss him and leaves to visit her new boss. Before she leaves the gala, Serena runs into Holland, who's looking for Lily. He tells her that everything Will said was true. Maybe there's something she should know about Rufus, about him sleeping with her. Serena catches up with Will and tells him that if he wants to fight with Lily, he should. Yeah. This is where I don't like Serena. I don't like Serena in this arc. Literally, she's trying to break up. I don't like Serena's arc. I don't. She's terribly written. Now, she's goodly written, but she's also badly written because she comes off as a mean person now. Literally, like literally, Hong and telling her this is like, okay, if Rufus cheated on Lily, then Will has the right to fight for Lily. But now Serena completely turns against Rufus now, and now no longer likes him. It just felt very terrible for her character arc to go through. Like, and it feels like a bit of the old Serena is coming back, which again I don't like, but still. After lunch, Jenny gives research on Lily's cancer and medication. Blair also meets up with girls and tells them that the information that they got about her being a fake student was false and she'll be attending Columbia in the fall. She also informs them that next time they cross her, they'll witness a takedown firsthand. When walking away, she sends Chuck a thank you text. He reads it and then gets a call from Jenny who tells him that there's something weird about Lily's medicine. There's something weird going on with Lily's medicine. At the Vanderwoods, Eric's telling Lily about his night with Elliot when Serena and Will arrive. She invites him for hot chocolate, and Eric tells him it's okay if he stays. Lily invites Will to stay, and the phone rings. Serena answers, and Rufus wanting to speak to Lily. Serena says that she went to bed and tells her to be called. He'll tells her he called and hanged up. So Eric asks Will, thanks Will for setting up a date with Elliot. Lily asks who was on the phone, and Serena lies, saying it was just Blair, and goes to sit with her family, ending the episode. So yeah, I don't like Serena's arc. She comes out as very terrible and very mean to Rufus. Like, I get it. Like, this is her trying to bring her family back together, but she's very terrible. Like I don't know what the writers were thinking with this characterization of Serena in this arc. Like literally. Wait till next season, or the season after, where she tries to break up another relationship, but that one belongs to one of her best friends. But this time, this is her parent. Her mom's happy with Rufus, but as soon as her dad comes to town, Serena's like, oh, her dad and Lily? Okay, I'll try to get them back together and basically ice out Rufus. That is terrible, and I'll talk about it more when we review the last 2 episodes of the season, but still, this is a terrible way for Serena's characterization. She becomes cold and distant towards Rufus, and Rufus did everything for her. He stood by her this season, and as soon as her dad comes back, she turns against him. Like, bro, Serena, what a mean sandy beach. Rufus did everything for you. He vouched for you. He's vouched for you when you didn't want to go to Brown. And this is how you repay him, by making him act cold? This is terrible. But yeah. I guess we'll have to find out how this season will end with the last 2 episodes. But still terrible of Serena to do, you know? Rufus literally was the only one to vouch for her when she didn't want to go to Brown, and now that her dad's back, she's just like, well, if Rufus cheated on Lily, then her dad should get back together with her. It's awful. I find Serena I just don't like Serena in this storyline. I don't. She's worse than Phoebe Thunderman, and I don't like Phoebe in season 4. But yeah, I'm currently working on my Thunderman script for the next episode, so yeah, Thunderman's reviews will be coming back after I get that script done. But still, that episode, it's just a terrible. But anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for season 21, Ex-Husband and Ex-Wife. Hopefully this season will turn around and they can actually, hopefully this arc, the Will arc, will actually do better. But anyway, yeah, see you next time. XOXO Gossip Girl. S is being a beaver, is being a sandy beach to Rufus.